What can I say, folks? What is it that I can say? What can I say? Maybe I can say this. There's a bright line between the haves and the have-nots, and the government makes its decisions accordingly. The government now has the ability, with people irrespective of where they fall with respect to the bright line between people, the government can celebrate people on either side of said bright line certain events. For example, the unveiling of the portrait of John Kerry. You know, they've always had something similar. In fact, John Kerry's portrait is not the only one that is evidently deserved a certain kind of celebration. There have been several all this year. But it's as though this year is winding up with a few, and this one stands out because it brings together the evolution that has taken place in America. There are those whose portraits are celebrated, and those whose portraits are pinned to a bulletin board instead. And that bulletin board now is the Internet. And not only the Internet. So that means it's something special to have the wherewithal to produce and hang the kinds of portraits that now have been complemented by one dedicated to the image of John Kerry. And there's an evolution. I mean, when the day comes and there's a portrait of Blinken to be unveiled, things will have changed, as they have changed from the days when others have had their portraits hung. We'll have to build a building somewhere eventually for the growing class of deep state experts, consultants, and beyond. And there will be space for portraits to hang. What can I say? The bright line between people is hard to ignore, and now we can, I think, acknowledge that there are special differences between those whose portraits are hung and those who are portrayed in the news and then dealt with as might be thought appropriate. For example, there are those who are ghosted or canceled or whatever, and they are numerous. And some say it's done in a far more humane way than the days when people burned at the stake. I think that might be true. That might be the intent. At the same time, though, there are flights from Miami to California that would belie some of the ideas involved. Although there are other circuits, say for example, from Washington to Helsinki, you know, or if not that, then Helsinki to somewhere, or many flights in Minnesota, all dedicated to the activities of people of privilege, whether or not any portraits are hung anywhere. What can I say, except that people, I think, don't want to be bothered. They really don't. If they get a new pickup truck every 2 years, they can go from one McDonald's to the next. And who knows, might be in the next McDonald's. My gosh, the horrific idea about being next to a killer is something nobody wants to deal with ordinarily. I don't know. How can McDonald's respond to the horrific news that's been given? I mean, what can they do? It's not as though they're helpless. Does it mean that they have to learn how to deal with a mass murderer if one shows up? Well, yes. And apparently this is what happened in Pennsylvania. It didn't last long, thank goodness. That's not the only reason I stay in my room. But I can tell you, I have been to McDonald's and it's been difficult for me. I'll put it that way. I have no reason to return. I don't think it would be any easier if I were to try to make my way to some place for the unveiling of any number of portraits. It might be more stress than visiting a McDonald's, to be honest. And now you know how I feel. I feel reminded what there is out there. I don't happen to have, a very good diet, but at least I'm not, confronted with what some people have met, even on the sidewalk. What can I say? It's obvious. I mean, it's in the news that all kinds of things happen, and then I know about some things that are never reported. Never reported. Is that because people would feel upset more? Maybe. On the other hand, what can be done about the news as it has affected the people of Altoona? What if that same person had shown up, as once happened, in a sanctuary labeled as such, and caused the deaths of many more than only one on a sidewalk? And so it's one of the things about the media that there are things that are reported, and it makes people wary. I don't know of any plans for people to forfeit the opportunity for an unveiled portrait, but I mean, they gathered in Butler simply to listen to Trump, and the next thing somebody died and others injured, and you think, my gosh, with all the Secret Service, that's what can happen. So yeah, I'm glad to stay in my room. It's almost unthinkable that somebody would get in here. Nobody's interested in this place. There are a lot of places that nobody is likely to focus on. They're much more likely to go to KFC or to McDonald's or what's that other one, the new one? They have one of those new ones here for chicken. I can't think of the name of it offhand. Seems like it was built overnight. They had clay lights and everything to build it, and I can't think the name of it. I haven't been to the local. Back when my mother was alive, she said, let's try that. So we did. We went one time, The same with Chipotle, whatever it is. But anything can happen now. Or at a bus stop. What can I say about any of it? Others are saying a lot. One of the reasons they're saying a lot is that they have a lot to talk about because nobody's made much of an improvement. So when people have a place that is reasonably safe, they appreciate it even more than might be appropriate. I mean, have people written off some sort of problem here. Have people written off places the way I have? I think of myself as a shut-in, but that's a political thing and nobody wants to hear about it. But some of the people who were shot dead on a sidewalk really probably had no complaints. I mean, people could look into their background and see whether or not there was anything, some adversity or something. I can't imagine that. Maybe there have been, but I'm sure they'll look into the background to see if there's any possible connection. People tell me, though, that he was singled out, by an assassin rather than a murderer. It's just, so there are a lot of people who are murdered all the time and they're not assassinated, although there are people assassinated also. And also, too, like I say, many people who simply vanish. Not only in South America. And what can I say? Well, I don't have enough information to say what I've attempted to talk about, and I can't do that anymore to speak of. I was thinking as I was in bed a few minutes ago, it's now just past 6 a.m. on the what is it? On December 10th. I was thinking, well, the sun hasn't come up yet. It's still dark outside, but before the dawn's early light, in other words, I was in bed and I was thinking, well, I can do like the Chinese, just lie flat. There's no reason to get out of bed and sit in this chair except for the novelty. And so I've wasted another 13 minutes. As far as I know, nothing else. And people are talking again about things that are calculated to be disappointing. As soon as there's the wrong knock on the door. And then I ought to play what? We're So Sorry, Uncle Albert. That's the band of activity that is so lame, But anyway, I hope that the idea of a portrait ceremony for Kerry makes sense. Maybe he can find the words to make a difference nowadays, even if it's only for such an occasion. A lot of grandiose talk has come to nothing, and I don't know what can be said about it. Maybe there's something can be said. People have told me to shut up.